When you talk about counties being red, the state of Indiana is on fire.
Now at 5, Governor Holcomb announces new restrictions to stop the spread of coronavirus after all 92 counties in Indiana measure the highest level of spread for the 4th week in a row.
We are exhausted. You know, we are 9 months into this and we are 9 months exhausted.
An ICU nurse on the front lines in the fight against COVID-19 shares her personal story and what we can all do to help.
Most restaurants employ over 35 people full-time. So for every restaurant that closes, there's 35 people without a job.
A major concern tonight for the future of local restaurants as restrictions impact their sales during the pandemic, what they need to make it through the slow winter months ahead.
And video you just have to see, a woman catching a ride on the back of a fire truck. What IFD has to say about this.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5, streaming now.
And good evening to you here at 5 o'clock. First tonight, Governor Eric Holcomb is taking action as Indiana has the 2nd highest rate of COVID-19 infections in the country.
Governor Holcomb is putting control back in the state's hands after shifting to locally driven restrictions back in November. The new statewide restrictions were announced during today's weekly coronavirus update. Starting December 16th, all hospitals are required to postpone or reschedule non-emergency and elective procedures until January 3rd. Social gatherings are limited based on county metrics and the amount of COVID-19 cases in that area. No more than 25 people are allowed to gather in red counties, which as of today includes about a third of the state. 50 people are allowed for counties in orange. Larger gatherings are allowed in yellow and blue counties. But as of today, that does not apply to any parts of the state. Local health departments are no longer allowed to grant any exceptions to those gathering restrictions. K through 12 extracurricular activities can continue, but must be limited to participants, parents, and support personnel. For counties in red, all other counties must limit capacity to 25%. Health officials say these actions are designed to relieve some of the pressure healthcare workers are feeling.
We know that our healthcare workforce is already exhausted. By postponing non-emergent procedures done in an inpatient setting, we will be able to free up preoperative and postoperative staff and OR staff to be able to provide relief for these weary COVID warriors.
The statewide mask mandate will remain in place.
As we mentioned before, we are definitely seeing red when it comes to the spread of the virus in Indiana. This map shows the entire state colored in either red or orange. 36 of Indiana's 92 counties are colored red, meaning the highest rate of spread. Last week, there were only 16. Counties in the red include Hendricks, Morgan, Johnson, Shelby, and Hancock. Marion, Boone, and Hamilton counties are all teetering on becoming red with a level of 2.5 that's keeping them in the orange. However, when you look at this map, it shows the entire state in red. You're in red on this map when you reach at least 200 cases per 100,000 residents. It's the 4th straight week every county is in red. State Health Commissioner Dr. Christina Bach says, in fact, only 2 counties are below 400 cases per 100,000, and 7 counties are over 1,000 cases per 100,000 residents.
For many, this all means a vaccine cannot come soon enough. Tomorrow, an FDA advisory committee will meet to discuss whether Pfizer's vaccine will be given emergency use authorization. In its first analysis, the FDA says the vaccine appears 95% effective for all Americans older than 16, no matter race, ethnicity, or gender. It is already being administered in the UK, and officials are optimistic the same will happen in the U.S. At the governor's briefing today, Dr. Lindsay Weaver, the health department's chief medical officer, said the first very limited vaccines are expected to arrive in Indiana next week. Initial doses will go to 5 pilot hospitals around the state. IU Methodist is one of them. Additional doses are expected to be available at a total of 50 hospitals by the end of next week. Initially, the state is expected to receive 55,575 doses. Those will go to frontline healthcare workers, which includes hospital staff and employees of long-term care facilities. That is expected to be the focus into January as additional doses arrive. Dr. Weaver said they cannot predict when they'll move to the next phase of the next groups to receive the vaccine.
Now to today's numbers. The state is also reporting another high number of newly reported deaths. 98 people have died of COVID, and those deaths occurred between November 6th and yesterday. The statewide total now tops 6,200. The state also reports another 5,853 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. Those results recorded between Sunday and yesterday. The statewide total is closing in on 400,000. The day a vaccine becomes available for everyone who wants one is still months away, and numbers are climbing. An ICU nurse with IU Methodist is sharing her thoughts on the toll this is taking on frontline workers in our hospitals who have been dealing with this since day one in March.
We have witnessed a lot. We have seen a lot of death. We have seen a lot of suffering, and it takes a toll on you mentally. We have to come into work every single day, and we as nurses, we put on a lot of hats. We have to sit there and be an advocate for the patient. We are their eyes and ears and need to speak up for them, when they can't for themselves. We are supposed to be a support for family members who can't be there in the hospital with their loved ones. These patients feel very isolated. We provide a hand to comfort the patients. Sometimes we are the last person that they talk to before they're intubated, and they may never end up off the ventilator. And this is exhausting at times, and we are being pushed to our limits, both physically and mentally. And we're tired, and we, unfortunately, the way the numbers are going, we don't really see an end in sight, and that can be discouraging at times.
She went on to say that we need as a community to support each other and follow the guidelines and restrictions to persevere and try and see the light at the end of the tunnel.
And there are signs of hope and bright spots as we work our way through the pandemic. This tree is meant to be one of them. It's called the Tree of Hope and stands in front of IU Methodist Hospital. It will be lit tonight. What makes the Tree of Hope special is that each ornament on the tree represents an IU patient who battled COVID-19 and survived. The ornaments were specifically donated by the IU health team members who helped them through their battle with the virus. Luminaires will also spell out the word hope.
Great to see that there. A lot of disappointed college football fans in Indiana tonight. The old Oaken Bucket game is canceled. It won't be played Saturday as the Indiana and Purdue football programs deal with COVID-19 cases. The athletic directors at both schools released a joint statement saying they were disappointed they had to cancel the rivalry game that has been played every year since 1919. Kevin?
So, Mark, does it look like I was waiting on the game?
It sure does.
Out of the closet. It still fits from 1984. How about that?
That's something to celebrate. Woo, yes. Look at that. All right.
It doesn't fit well.
But it fits.
The arms are fairly stiff. All right, sunshine matters. That's the best way to put it. There's a different color of gold. This is old gold for Purdue. There's the beautiful setting sun, and the temperatures responded to that sunshine through the day today. We are currently 13 degrees warmer than we were 24 hours ago. How warm are we? 51. We hit 56 this afternoon. Temperatures in the western portion of the state in the low to mid 50s. It will be a cold night, eventually dropping into the 20s. In the upper 20s. We'll watch for potentially some patchy light fog overnight as the wind goes calm and the sky will stay clear. Temperatures, as I mentioned, tomorrow morning, right at 28 degrees. So we'll talk about the forecast for the weekend here in just a little bit and what changes Saturday coming up.
Since March, when the pandemic began, 20% of restaurants in Indiana have closed. And tonight, our Nicole Griffin is digging into new numbers from the National Restaurant Association that show more than 30% of Indiana restaurants do not expect to make it through the next 6 months.
Typically, the month of December is a busy time for local restaurants with holiday parties and catering. But right now, local businesses all across central Indiana are not seeing the same amount of sales they normally would. We talked to the co-founder here at Sun King Brewery about the challenges they are facing daily.
There's been a lot of just general apprehension about going out. So at a point in time when we're usually at our busiest of the year, we're seeing record low business in our tap rooms.
Clay Robinson is the co-founder of Sun King Brewery. He says this month all of their locations are seeing a 50% decline in traffic. With capacity restrictions, he says the tap rooms in Marion County are seeing the largest decrease in sales.
We normally host a number of holiday parties at all of our locations, and traditionally we would have holiday parties booked almost every day of the week for a few hours here and there, and sometimes 2 and 3 on the weekends. And I do know that in the next couple of weeks we have a grand total of 4 small gatherings booked between all of our tap rooms.
On top of that, Robinson says distribution for the brewery is also down.
It's your mom and pop bars and restaurants that make up the majority of our business for draft beer sales around the state of Indiana. Those are the ones that are suffering the most.
Hours are greatly reduced. Tips are greatly reduced because we just don't see those customers.
Patrick Tam with the Indiana Restaurant and Lodging Association says they are in contact with our senators and representatives daily, urging them to provide more relief for the restaurant and hospitality industry.
Most of Indiana's hospitality industry are not experiencing a joyous holiday season this year, not even remotely close. And frankly, we think it's a complete sham if they think that they should be able to come home without passing needed relief for all of America, let alone just the Hoosier hospitality sector as well.
Until then, Robinson at Sun King hopes Hoosiers continue to support local, whether it's one of their tap rooms or your neighborhood restaurant. Working for you, Nicole Griffin, WRTV.
According to CNN, there are several proposals for another stimulus relief package, but none of them are ready to be voted on. Tonight, Congressman Andre Carson is responding. He says in part, quote, Congress needs to do everything in our power to help keep these businesses afloat. The CARES Act was a good start, but we need to do much more in our next relief bill for restaurant owners and employees. Senator Todd Young says it is clear Hoosier restaurants need more support from the federal government. He says, I've been working for months to provide assistance to restaurants and small businesses through my Restart Act, which would provide a lifeline to those who have suffered the greatest revenue losses. We'll put their full statements on the WRTV app.
Tonight, Metro Police are hoping the release of this home surveillance video will help them catch a man who broke into a North Side home. The dog barked, but it did not stop this armed man from taking what appears to be some electronics from inside a home Monday afternoon. Do you recognize him? Well, this happened around noon Monday on the 2100 block of East 65th Street. If you know who this man is, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS. And take a look at this. Just an emphatic reminder from the Indianapolis Fire Department. This is not okay. While at a stoplight yesterday, IFD engine 44 was told by another driver that a woman had jumped on the back of their engine and hitched a ride. As you see, the crew had no idea. They stopped the engine and asked the woman to get off. IFD notes this is extremely dangerous and could have resulted in a critical or even fatal injury if the engine came to a sudden stop or had suddenly had to go on an emergency run.
Still ahead on WRTV with peanut specials now missing from ABC for the first time in decades. We show several ways to watch Charlie Brown free of charge this month.
A soggy Saturday potentially, maybe a half an inch or more of rain. We'll focus on that timing coming up.
A big financial boost for a local organization that works to help the homeless in our community. The Coalition for Homelessness Intervention and Prevention, or CHIP, announced today that it has received a $1.25 million grant from the Day One Families Fund. That fund was started by Amazon founder and CEO Jeff Bezos. The indie nonprofit focuses on helping families experiencing homelessness find shelter. It is one of 42 organizations nationwide to receive a grant from the fund. The CHIP executive director said this help is coming at a critical time when central Indiana families are facing difficulties created by the pandemic, including loss of housing. Coburn Place, which offers transitional housing for survivors of domestic violence in Indianapolis, received a grant of the same amount last year.
Christmas shows like Rudolph, The Grinch, and A Charlie Brown Christmas have been holiday traditions for half a century. But this year, Charlie Brown is no longer airing on network TV. But you're not totally out of luck. Consumer reporter John Matarese shows how you can still see it for free so you don't waste your money.
The holiday season won't be the same without A Charlie Brown Christmas on network TV for the whole family to watch. But after viewer outrage, it may be coming back for one night. Viewers looking for A Charlie Brown Christmas won't find it on ABC or CBS stations this year for the first time in 50 years. Apple this fall snapped them up, and they'll be streaming on Apple TV Plus from now on. Don't want to pay to subscribe to Apple TV? Not to worry. Apple just announced you'll be able to stream A Charlie Brown Christmas free from December 11th to December 13th. But from the Doesn't That Stink file, the fact Apple's free offer doesn't help grandma or grandpa who don't stream and just watch cable or antenna TV. That stinks. So after thousands of viewer complaints, Apple just announced it is allowing PBS stations to air the show once this year on Sunday, December 13th. Check your local listings, as they say. You can also buy Grandma a DVD of the show. Walmart, Target, and Amazon still offer A Charlie Brown Christmas on DVD for about $10. The only thing missing, the old Dolly Madison snack cake commercials that used to air during the broadcast. Streaming TV is the future, but some traditions are still enjoyed best the old-fashioned way, so always don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese, WRTV.
Now to your Storm Team forecast, and it's not feeling too much like Christmas or December right now. We're enjoying what seemed like a spring day out there, Kevin.
Spring today, spring tomorrow. How about that? Temperatures will be a little bit warmer, so not your ordinary December day, a spectacular December day. And the sunset to go with it. Skies are clear and just beautiful this evening. Our temperatures will fall off with the light wind and clear sky into the upper 20s, but we'll make a magnificent temperature recovery again during the day tomorrow. Anywhere around the metro area, temperature in New Pal, 50 degrees. You can see temperatures at Edinburgh, Martinsville, all in the low 50s, pretty common, and a nice jump from where we were yesterday, stuck in the 30s. We talked about the warm up. Now we're feeling it. Notice how the blue colors have been pushed to the north and east. That's the cooler air being forced out of the Midwest and Great Lakes, replacing it with milder temperatures. How about Little Rock, Arkansas, southwest portions of Missouri, Springfield's at 68, even Minneapolis, St. Paul up to 50 degrees. Tonight, our temperatures, they'll drop into the upper 20s. We'll keep our eye on the potential for some patchy fog. The fact that we got warmer today would alleviate any issues, I think, with freezing fog. But whenever you have the air temperature below freezing and that moisture at ground level, you got to watch that a little bit. Temperatures next 3 days, all very mild. I decided to go with very mild. You could argue that we should call it warm because the average temperature is right at 40. But you see what happens Sunday and Monday, much colder air, closer to average, but actually below average temperatures return. Wind out of the southeast tomorrow and south, that ensures our temperatures climb. I think when you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, probably the best day of the week tomorrow. I think we may see some clouds increase in the afternoon hours. Temperature by noon already at 46. Afternoon temperatures into the 50s, and I think most areas lower to middle 50s north, but there'll be plenty of temperatures 57, 58 degrees anywhere along Interstate 70, and some spots to the south will push 60. It just depends on the cloud cover. I think some mid to high level clouds will come streaming back in. Definitely end the work week with more clouds. The cloud cover Friday keeps our temperatures from being as warm, but still middle 50s, and any rain should hold off until Friday evening, Friday night. Temperatures around the region cooler to the north. I think where your rain chances in the clouds will be thicker. Temperatures in the low 50s. There we step into the weekend. A windy and wet Saturday. Soggy through most of the day. Much cooler, 39 on Sunday. 7-day forecast as you look at this. Saturday is our transition day from very mild conditions to the much colder air. Sunday and Monday, even Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, temperatures staying at or below average for this time of the year. We've got a 24-degree temperature on Tuesday morning. That's the coldest within the 7-day planner. So we'll enjoy this while we have it.
The rain that's in the forecast for this weekend has forced a downtown event to be postponed. The holiday market on the Circle, hosted by the Downtown Indy organization, will now be held the following Saturday, December 19th. The free event on Monument Circle will be from 3 until 7 p.m. You might not be too happy when you hear what's in store for the popular Happy Meal at McDonald's. We'll serve up the details when the news at 5 continues. Perhaps you have never heard of the Happy Meal rent and service fee at McDonald's, but now that it's going away, you're going to have to pay. McDonald's has told its franchises it will no longer pay the $300 rent and service fee it issues monthly to all of the franchises. The fee was meant to subsidize the cost of the toys featured in the Happy Meal. McDonald's now says the subsidy simply was not paying off. So it's going away in 2021, which means franchises will be able to tack on at least another 20 cents to the cost of a Happy Meal. With the COVID-19 vaccine expected to roll out soon in the United States, we are answering your questions. One of them, can employers require you to get vaccinated? We have that answer tonight on the news at 6 p.m. It made its debut at the first Brickyard 400 in Indianapolis ahead at 5:30, where the vintage vehicle was found in its future once all the dust is removed.